We are back. It is episode 151 of the Metal Roundtable. I am Metal Rob, and with me, as always, is the great
Carcass John. Feeling a little older this episode than before, and
continuing to be new and improved with a three-man booth.
Apparently, I am Scott Acid Rain Waters today because it didn't
yes.
my name.
I forgot to shut the door. Stand by.
Production value. Acid Rain is a killer thrash band. You might want to check them out. I think they're from. I think they're from Spain.
I remember when I was a kid, that was the big. That was the big deal. That was the big global controversy. Remember?
It wasn't. Yeah.
It was going to be Acid Rain.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I remember Acid Rain. So I'm gonna get better at the social media thing. I'm so awful at this. I wish we had a social media director, but you can follow me on Instagram at I am Metal Rob. You can follow the Carcass on Instagram at Carcass John Art. You can check out Scott Waters and his badass channel by going to YouTube and just searching Scott Waters. And
and by the way, time out.
Yep.
I am now back on Facebook.
I was just gonna say that.
Just because I'm going to just give it another whirl. Hopefully I will get hacked, smacked, or,
hacked, smacked, or tallywhacked.
Or attacked. But,
attacked.
Yeah, so, but we'll figure it out. It's kind of fun and people are reacting already. So,
yep. Well, I'm glad that you're back on Facebook. It'll make things easier for me to share with you. And also, I am going to post in the comments couple of links because somebody told me to do that, and I think that is brilliant advice.
Sure.
So here comes one.
What's up, Fraser?
Please subscribe to us on YouTube.
Dang.
And also,
we've got a lot of work to do out there.
I know, man. I suck at this. I'm awful at this. We're off to a rip-roaring start on this episode.
Woohoo! Well, should I just do my shout-outs while you're posting?
Yeah, man.
I have a lengthy list.
Yeah, I'll just be quick. I've got no real shout-outs. I've kind of been busy the last couple weeks, so we'll just let Carcass take it away.
Okay, well, I've got enough shout-outs for all of us, so let me get started. Number one, Steph, thank you for the birthday stuff, man. It was awesome. Great week. Great, the party balloon delivery during the episode was epic. And it just kind of segued into the weekend. We had a great time. Thank you. The shout out to the Saucy Broads. You know who you are. And I'm shouting out to you because, well, you're saucy. That's why. I want to shout out to my sister, Kristen. That is JT's wife, JT Sullivan, who joins us occasionally on the Metal Roundtable. She is an awesome travel coordinator, and she has continued to hook me up with some great travel plans. Can't wait. I have to shout out this. Anybody want to take just venture a guess?
Yeah, I've even heard you say it, and I know we're going to have a couple guys on the show. I can't remember. Descent? I don't
Steve.
know. No. Desiccation.
Okay, Desiccation.
Learn that name because these are a bunch of young kids from San Diego. The story of how they got to Texas is pretty incredible, but I caught them last Friday night, and it was nothing short of brutal, and hopefully we'll have them on in a couple of weeks, and I'll let you tell them how their mom put them in a minivan and drove them from San Diego to Fort Worth, Texas to play a 30-minute set. It was epic. So, of course, I had to buy a shirt. And also as part of that production, it was called Gourd in the Heart of Texas, a guy named Thick Neck Taylor who also sings for Reviled. And he's an awesome salesperson. So he really had people going at the show. Okay, Greg Spicoli, man, you guys and Headbanger killed it last night at Raven and Riot Act. Headbanger is a cover band per se, And as most of the people around us were saying, gosh, these guys, they write great songs. Well, of course they're great songs because they're by Budgie and Holocaust and early Iron Maiden and so forth. And so, but Spicoli, you got a great voice. We'd love to have you on the show again when your audio is better, of course. So, and then rescued from Live Records, he sent me this really unique, cool birthday greeting, a stack of CDs from the label, and he works with Dark Descent also, and a stack of stickers. You know me and stickers. I love to sticker up the refrigerator, the suitcase, the road case. I brought my toolbox to work with me today, and everyone was staring at all the stickers. It was fun. So those are my shout outs. Take it away, Scott. Take it away, Rob. Take it away, America and the world.
I just had one. Went to see Warbringer and help me out here. What's the name of the other band?
Revocation.
Heather. I went to see Warbringer, Heathen, and Misfire. Misfire are from Chicago, and Misfire were fantastic. I'm not saying they stole the show or anything, but man, they were impressive enough to me that I was like, I'm going to their table and buying whatever crap I can afford. So I ended up buying a couple of their CDs to help them out. I'm sending another one of these out to a friend who I think might enjoy it. And didn't have much money left over after that, but I still managed to grab me a nice little Warbringer patch and got me and I already put it in a sleeve, but a Warbringer guitar pick here from Chase Becker, the original guitar player in the band. But they were great. All three bands are great. Warbringer definitely stole the show. They definitely were the most high energy. They just brought it, but all three bands were great. And it was just funny because as I was standing there watching Warbringer, the singer from Heathen walks up and stands right next to me, and he's just watching the show between me and my buddy Rob. We went together, and he was standing right between the two of us, looked over at him and kind of gave him the old metal nod, and then fist bump, and that was the end of it.
Yes, Integrity 101 is here. Integrity 101, I tried to do the social media thing correctly. I put links in the comments. We don't have a guest today, so I don't have their link to put up, but I took your advice, brother. Thanks for being here.
Yep. Rob Whitlock just said, here it is. Warbringer was pure fury. Agreed.
Yep. They are a good band. They are a great band. No, go ahead.
Hey, then look, Mr. Rhines is here.
Yes, he is.
Mr. Rhines is the guitar player for Reptilian, former guitar player for David Wayne's Reverend.
Yep.
And Reptilian's got a new album coming out that is spectacular. So I'm looking forward to that, and hopefully whoever does the mastering will do a good job on it.
I will do my best. I have not started work on that. Ryans, I hope it's cool if I call you Ryans. We've got a guy locally on the radio named Mike Reiner, and he goes by Ryans, and I see that in your name. So he and I haven't spoken yet, but it's pretty good little record, man. You guys are I think your label got a coup by getting this, man. It's gonna be awesome to work on. So that should be coming up. I should be able to work on that hopefully in the next few days. I'm so awfully behind, like always. But yeah, man, welcome to the show, Ryans. I appreciate it, brother. Thanks for checking in. Couple of comments real quick. I did not know about the new metal church yet. I feel like I skipped over something reading about that online. And I am not going to be at Hell's Heroes next year. I'm just glad that Ryans is here and Rob Whitlock's here and Integrity 101 is here.
And we missed Fraser last week.
For a minute. We are going to talk today about bootlegs, and we're going to talk all things bootlegs. We're going to talk straight up live bootlegs. We're going to talk about stuff that was never released officially, and maybe you bought it, maybe you didn't. How do you feel about bootlegs? What are your favorites? So we're going to kind of get into that. And is it cool if I kick us off?
Go for it.
but shouldn't we decide what a bootleg really is? What
Well,
would be the definition of a bootleg?
okay, so there's two things in my mind. A bootleg uh, might literally be a clandestine live recording or a leaked soundboard or something like that. We've all got tons of stuff like that. Um, but also a bootleg can be something, spoiler alert, like this. This is a bootleg. It was never released on CD. It's completely unofficial. So those are the two main things. Unless you've got something to add to that, Carcass.
Well, yeah, I was going to say, to your point, you held that Pantera CD up, and this is a facsimile of the album, but this is a Taiwanese pressing, and I got news for everybody. It is as bootleg as the day is long, and I collect them just because they're kind of unusual. But I've even seen where the inside of them had the cover of another album. They just split the cover and folded it up and used it and printed on the outside of it. So, but then I do have the stuff that was, like you said, a clandestine live, a recording or something that was never truly released by the band. But I don't know which is more aggravating, something where they just take the actual album and rip it off, or where there's some fan that records it and puts it out himself or whatever.
Well, I will get into here. So here's what I think about that. In my collection, I definitely have bootlegs, ranging from, file sharing back in the day and tape trading. I was a little young for the tape trading, but I definitely got into the CDR trading. And when we get to King's X, I'll have a couple of interesting notes there, or well, they're interesting to me. Y'all may not give a shit, but I've got everything from live shows to soundboards to straight up, bootleg stuff like this that was never officially released. But I'll kick us off with a couple if you are cool with that.
Sure, fire away.
Okay, I keep throwing this one up in the air. So this is Black Sabbath from Worcester, Mass. It is a soundboard recording from 1983. Does anybody know what was happening with Black Sabbath in 1983?
I think they were trashed.
Correct. They were disturbing the priest.
Yes, they were.
This is from the Born Again tour. They do Children of the Grave, Hotline, War Pigs, Iron Man, Zero the Hero, Heaven and Hell, Digital Bitch, Black Sabbath, Smoke on the Water, and Paranoid, which is an interesting set list. But I am fascinated, terribly fascinated with Black Sabbath's Born Again era, and the fact that there's not the demos got released of that album, officially released, which I think was fantastic, because I had heard that from years ago and they officially released it. But also there's little to no footage of that tour. However, if you go to the Metal Rob channel and look in the recently uploaded bootleg concerts, there is a full show from 1983, and you can see the giant Stonehenge monoliths. It's grainy. It's from the back of the auditorium, but it's the only real footage that I've ever found from that tour, and it's on the Metal Rob YouTube channel. So check that out. And while we're talking about Sabbath, I'll show a couple more real quick, and then we'll do a round robin here.
At this point, I look, there is a practical question.
Yeah.
Are we going to play Stonehenge tomorrow night?
No, we're not going to fucking do Stonehenge. You're being trotted on by a dwarf or whatever.
That's exactly
my next favorite. There are some fantastic Sabbath bootlegs out there, but outside of the 1983 Born Again tour, my favorites are the Ozzy Meets the Priest. And if you don't know the story, it's something about Ozzy and Dio being on this, or Ozzy and Sabbath being on the same bill, or Dio and Sabbath being on the same bill, or Dio and Ozzy. I don't know. So anyway, Dio decides not to do the shows. These are from 92, Costa Mesa or Los Angeles or something. I'm sorry, I can't really read that. Anyway, At the Pacific Amphitheater, they did 2 nights, and Rob Halford filled in. And not only can you get these on high quality soundboard bootlegs, you can also find the video. It's pretty easy to find if you just put in, Ozzy Meets the Priest or Halford Black Sabbath or whatever. And these are amazing sounding. And they do, it's completely Black Sabbath songs with Rob Halford singing 2 different nights. Very, very cool. And I suspect the video is from the camera feed that's inside the arena. And somebody recorded that, and, it got out there after all these years. But, yeah, check that out. It's awesome. I understand that Frazier owns a bootleg Spice Girl shirt.
Nice.
Excellent. Frazier, do you care to confirm or deny that?
His silence is ringing loudly.
Nice. Okay. So, see, I'm gonna have to start taking notes.
Yep.
Okay.
8 stars. You heard that one?
There's actually 3 albums that Iommi and Hughes did together, and all 3 are fantastic in my opinion. Of course, the first being under the Black Sabbath name, but yeah, the Depth Sessions are fantastic. If you don't have them,
I don't know that. Is that Black Sabbath Depth Sessions?
No, it's Iommi Hughes Depth Sessions.
Oh.
Well, since we're talking about Black Sabbath, let me just flash these up here. I already flashed the Master of Reality. Well, I know I didn't. This is the Taiwanese version of the Master of Reality, which is actually the inside poster for what album was that? Was that the first album, or was that?
No, that poster right there. Master of Reality, I think. Yeah, it was.
So that's
I have the poster.
Yeah, that's actually the poster. So once again, bootleg, but it's basically the album. It's just the recorded album. You can actually hear the tape hiss on it. So someone recorded it from tape. Actually have a Technical Ecstasy. Same thing, Taiwanese pressing. But then here are the ones that really get me excited. I mean, there's all sorts of quality, good and bad and indifferent. But I mean, look at this one. It's like a Japanese pressing. I actually have a double one from the Technical Ecstasy tour on white vinyl. This has got the OB.
Black Sabbath. I pulled no Black Sabbath.
What's that? Yeah.
I pulled no Black Sabbath.
And but this is like the simulcast from the California Jam that was on what was it? ABC's In Concert. I don't know if you were. Yeah. I was alive to see it, and I watched Richie Blackmore blow up his guitar and slam it into an amp and blow it up. But and then here's
California Jam, right?
California Jam, yeah.
And here's the TV audio. Someone was smart enough to probably videotape it on the VCR, and then they put out a high quality pressing. And then here's one that's super, super high quality. I have no idea how they got this. They've even got a hype sticker on it, but this is so bootleg, it's ridiculous. I hope I don't get arrested, but it's limited to 300 copies, and it's on, of course, purple vinyl. But Black Sabbath, War Pigs, Fairies Wear Boots, Behind the Wall of Sleep, Paranoid, Iron Man, and Blue Suede Shoes. Somebody got talked into that. But anyway, while we were speaking of Black Sabbath, I just thought, and there's a real disparity there. I mean, the albums, the Taiwanese pressings are good quality sounding, but I've heard some really, really poor.
Yeah, I've got an Alice Cooper one, and it's rough.
Like this Grand Funk one is really, really bad. But we're an American band. Guess they didn't have any gold lame, so they could put that on there. But at least they got the finger. But anyway, what do you got, Scott?
Well, it depends what we're going to talk about. So I grabbed a lot of stuff, but you know what? One of the styles of bootlegs that I kind of like, and there's quite a few of them out there. I just grabbed a handful of them.
Oh, that reminds me.
Are those kind of the ones that collect all the band's early demos and stuff like that?
Oh yeah. I like those.
I grabbed a few of them. Celtic Celtic. I always call them Celtic Frost, but I guess it's Celtic Frost. Whatever. We know what you're talking about. Yeah, potato. Procreation of the Wicked rehearsals from June of '84. And then this is what I showed, I think maybe a week or two ago, but the old Anthrax Overkill early demos. Yep. And then speaking of Metal Church, all the early Metal Church demos.
Oh
From
yeah, I
80s.
actually have that. I actually have that one too.
Yeah, I think they're all from like 81, 82, 83 in that area.
Yep,
Double album. Yep.
that's a
I got a
ripper
bunch of them,
too.
so I grabbed several of them just because as I was thinking of them, the early Dark Angel and Shell Shock before they were called Shell Shock
All right.
demos. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Yeah, I grabbed it. One more here. Actually, I grabbed more than one. I missed one. The early Nasty Savage demos, Voice of Mayhem.
Yeah,
Voice
and
of
that's got a
Mayhem.
hype sticker too. So they try to make the bootleg look as official as possible. And
I thought I had one more in here that I grabbed, but you guys can go ahead and talk, and I'll see if I can find it. There's so much crap in here.
Well, I'm gonna get over the big elephant in the room right now and just say and get over it. I have a huge collection of Osric Tentacles bootleg live recordings and remixes, and frighteningly enough, Mr. Cowell, Mr. Hair Metal Rob, there are actually DJs out there in the world that are not only remixing Osric Tentacles, but they're like putting them out on their own pressings. So this is like an super rare.
Hey, look what's happening.
Oh, hey, are you bringing birthday balloons?
No, it's not my
birthday balloons.
Mrs. Metal Rob makes a rare appearance.
Yay.
Your only appearance.
Yeah, it is.
I think so.
Yep.
It makes us look much better. Thank you, Audrey, for showing up.
Happy I could help.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, have the fun.
Okay, y'all too.
Scott, you're gonna have to kiss your significant other to keep the streak intact.
Yeah, maybe next week. She gone.
Yep.
She get her leg fixed. But anyhow, this is an Iron Maiden one. It's got the Soundhouse tapes on it and a bunch of other rare tape demos from 1978 through 1980. So yeah, I kind of dig those early, those ones that mix in all the old demos and stuff like that.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I know Rob hates this, but you know what? This is like a Will White self-pressed Osric Tentacles remix, which is kind of cool. And then they actually have a bootleg. Do you have this one, Scott? The Kick
Nope.
Mucker? Okay.
Nope.
Yeah, this is a bootleg, but it's got songs that are like versions of what are on the albums, but they're not on the albums. So you need to do a deep dive for that. And then there's a huge community of people that have live bootleg recordings of Osric Tentacles. And I mean, there are thousands of them. And it's almost like they encourage it because nobody knows who they are except guys like us. And
guys like you.
Okay.
There's no us here.
Well, I wasn't talking about you. I was talking about me and Scott. But anyway,
there ain't no I in team.
Yeah,
there ain't no we either.
That's Tanner's package of Osric Tentacles live bootlegs to go out. But the thing about it is it's cool to have a bootleg thing, but if it doesn't sound good, man, I've got some Zeppelin stuff that is hideous. And that was going to be
one of my next things I was going to talk about. With bootlegs, it's sometimes a gamble. You don't know what you're going to get sound wise. And I grabbed three that I actually, they're favorites of mine as collectibles, but I won't ever listen to them because they're total garbage sound. But they're just hard to find in their bands that I love. But here's one from the 80s.
Oh yeah,
Christmas Metal Meeting. I like the old 70s and 80s bootlegs too, especially the ones that had they're just a white board with a piece of paper on the front of it. And this one's really unfortunate because it even has an OB strip and it's got great packaging. But I love the first three Queensryche albums.
You mean like this one?
Yes, exactly.
Same company. Is that Rock Brigade Records?
Metal Mania Records, it says on here.
Same thing.
But Knight Rider, Prophecy, Deliverance, NM156, Enforce, Before the Storm, Blinded, Warning, Take Hold of the Flame, Queen of the Reich. But the sound quality blows. So
that's too bad. That's a great set. Just like this one.
I actually have 3 Queensryche vinyl bootlegs, and all 3 of them sound like garbage.
Well, this thing, I had such high hopes for it. It's a double white vinyl. This is the one I was talking about. And it's got... Symptom of the Universe, Snowblind, War Pigs, Never Say Die, Black Sabbath, Shockwave, Dirty Women. I mean, the guitar solos and drum solos, Electric Funeral, and it's just, it's unlistenable. But it looks pretty cool in the collection. So naturally, I keep it. This
Yep.
is another one. This is another one of those
Same here.
those deals. Wow, that almost looks like something I would draw.
It sure does.
Yeah.
Anyway, but this is
Wrecking Paris '87. It's pretty. It's not unlistenable, but it's pretty poor. But it's still cool because you don't see Overkill bootlegs very often on vinyl.
right. Well, this is one of the. This is the same company that put out the California Jam stuff, and basically someone just recorded it and took it off a VCR tape, and
Uh-oh.
whatever. Oops, Gonzo.
Yeah, we lost him. Oh, he's okay.
Oh.
He'll be back. Cool. Go ahead, man. You're doing great.
Well, I was gonna say, I found this at a garage sale, and I love Johnny Cash. I think there's something, part of Americana. I mean, I would say Johnny Cash would be part of that, kind of like Elvis and Chuck Berry and whatever else. But look how cool these are. These are obviously bootlegs. They're Taiwanese pressings. However, all of them are colored vinyl. And like I said, I found these at a garage sale for like 50. The guy said, "Well, just take the whole box for $5." I think that made the records like 12 cents a piece. But look at this one. It's got the Grand Funk story behind it, where they just stopped cleaning the press and just started adding more different colored vinyl, and it came out splattered. But they're all from they've all been verified. They're all from the 60s. I mean, but they're all basically bootleg pressings, because they weren't pressing a lot of things in Taiwan at the time.
Well, I'm gonna hop back in here for a second because, and we're gonna get to some. Let me round out some comments real quick, and then I want to address something that Integrity 101's talking about. What is the most y'all will pay for a bootleg on vinyl or CD? Man, it really depends. If I was there, I'm willing to pay a few bucks, but I really would prefer to trade for it, or pass it along that way or something. So I don't know that I've ever. I don't know. I don't have many official bootlegs, if you will, in my collection. So
I can tell you. I can tell you what I paid for this thing. This is Led Zeppelin. I don't know if, in fact. We had a gal on here that talked about the Texas International Rock Festival or whatever. Didn't we have somebody that?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, here is a Led Zeppelin's appearance at that festival. It's a double vinyl. It's got a huge, Train Kept Rolling, I Can't Quit You, Baby, Dazed and Confused, You Shook Me, How Many More Times,
and that's
the Lemon Song.
That's from the Texas Pop Festival?
Communication Breakdown. And so I paid $40 for this. I admit it. It was $40 in trade. Plus, it's got a funky little pattern to it or whatever.
I need to know about that, because I'm gonna get one for our friend that was at that.
Okay, well I know where you can get one, because he's got several, and that would be the Freak and Henry Vasquez. I know that's shocking that he would have something like this at his store. But he's got them, and I would grab them while you could, because the sound quality is superb.
Nice. Let's clean up some comments here. Repo, hello to the host of the most metal show on the internet. Thank you very much. Thank you for saying that, and thank you for being here. We appreciate it very much. That's awesome. Integrity 101. Have the soundboard recording of Pantera's final concert. That's cool. I'd like to hear that. Soundboard recordings are gold. I would actually like to hear that. We might need to message each other. Several Riot bootlegs. Speaking of, you seeing a version of Riot last night, Carcass.
Riot Act. They were great, by the way.
There's several box sets like this of Riot out there right now. This is volume 2, but I think there's like 5 or 6 volumes of this thing. And just this one alone has it's like 6 discs in it of live material. And every era of Riot has something like this. Yeah.
I've never returned bootleg, but I haven't bought that many, and I haven't, other than CD trading, I haven't really bought a ton, so I've never returned one. Have you guys?
No, yes, I actually have. I returned a Van Halen, and it had David Lee Roth on the cover, and it had Sammy Hagar era songs.
What's
and
up, Gary?
And it sounded like trash. So I took
I've
it back.
also never had a bootleg signed by the band.
I have.
Here's the comment that I want to get to. Have y'all ever gotten a bootleg signed by the band?
Yep.
Yes,
I got a Striper bootleg signed by the band, and they were more than happy to sign it.
Oh, okay.
They were asking me, "Where'd you get it from?" And it was at the Striper Expo, and I was like, "Oh, that table right over there."
I bet that table didn't last much longer.
No, it better.
Oh, it was the only one they had. But anyhow, yes, I have. Sorry, I'm having allergy issues.
I happen to know something about this. So it's this that you're talking about, I think.
Is that missing a song?
You know why it's missing a song?
Did you forget to go live?
No, that's funny though.
Because you run out of tape?
Because the tape flipped over. That's all I have to say about that.
Okay.
But anyway, it's out. This is a version that I made in my early tape trading and mastering days. These are pictures that I took at the electric company. They're not exactly the correct era. That one is closer than that one. This was more right before Cowboys from Hell. This was power metal. So that one is definitely correct to the era. This one is a little bit late. But also,
that's cool, though.
If you don't like that one, this was mine, so nobody has this but me. There's a version of it before we were Cowboys, and here's a version of it, preliminary groove metal. There is one song missing from this show because the tape flips over. Let's hit a couple of comments real quick, and then I agree.
I'm kind of like that way too. I mean, I think like there was a bootleg that came out many moons ago in the '90s of Ultimatum that it was, I can't remember what it's called, Texas something or other. There was like, so like, are you mad about it? I'm like, no, man, I just want a copy.
You want people to hear your stuff, you know. At one of our shows back in the day, there was a kid that was at the merch table, and his buddy bought a CD, and his other buddy he bought a CD, and his buddy came up to buy a CD, and he goes, "Nah, man, I'll just rip it for you." And I was like, "Well, don't do that. Here, I'll just give you one. You know, I'd love for you to have the music, but I don't know, be at least sneaky about it or something." So on the Pantera thing, and then I'll move on because this will knock out a whole bunch of my list, and then I'll circle back next time around. Bootleg. There's no such thing as an original. Don't ever let anybody tell you there is, because until the band, that's what's left of the band, changes their mind, it's never going to happen. And Rex is the only one, except for, and these came out, this one had both albums on it, Out Projects and I Am the Night, all bootlegs. There are different versions of these. If you have this, you do not have an original copy. I almost assure you. A guy just sold one on eBay for $100, and you can tell by the matrix it is not original. It is a very, very, very almost spot-on bootleg. But the way you can tell if the tray card fits and it's perforated along the edge, it's not real. The original ones were hand done. The printing was done separately, and they almost had to cram the tray cards in to the tray. And so they're kind of wrinkled in there. And also, it's very heavy cardstock on the original ones. This is not. This is thin paper like we have on modern CD recordings. So if you have this, I love you so much, but you don't have an original, probably. I've only seen one original, and I own the one that I found. But you can see how it gets washed out. That one's pretty good. That looks very close to my original. That one's very washed out. That one's even worse. All sold as original pressings. Sorry. And there's
do your homework.
So I've got 4 different versions of the bootleg version of power metal. So that's my Pantera bootleg collection. Is that your recording? I don't know what you're talking about.
Is that your recording of you at that Pantera show?
Happy belated birthday, John. When I met
Yay.
Jimmy Page years ago at a record convention, he was buying a bootleg vinyl of Led Zeppelin. That's awesome.
You mean like that? Live at the Olympic Auditorium in Paris.
For my collection, it's never about the money. Signed bootlegs of my own bands. Yeah, that's cool.
The ones I really like though are the FM broadcasts. You know, kind of like the King Biscuit Flower Hour. Remember that that show that was on Saturday, Sunday nights?
Or the BBC recordings?
Right, or the BBC radio recordings. So those I think are going to sound the best because they're gated and they're kind of mixed and whatever, and they're not so echoey. They're more true, but still, I mean, they're a bootleg. So,
Fraser, to answer your question here, my experience with just a couple of bands that I've talked to about this is I don't think for the most part they really care. That's been my impression. Production value from Scott?
Sorry.
No, I don't.
It's either that or it's going to run down my face.
The Russian bootlegs
that'd
pretty much got shut down. But the reason the Russian bootlegs got shut down, it wasn't live shows, it wasn't radio broadcasts. They were just straight up bootlegging official albums,
Yep.
albums, and that's
kind of like the Taiwanese things.
Yep.
Yep.
Did you record the '88 Power Metal Live bootleg?
I heard a rumor like that, but I can't deny it or verify it at all.
I don't know, but I know somebody.
It was a Z-Rock broadcast.
I know somebody
Z-Rock did it.
Somebody forgot to flip the tape over. But I don't know who that could have been.
Somebody may have not been in their dorm room when they were in the Air Force and Pantera started late, and when he hit record, it might have flipped over 2/3 of the way through the.
Let me go through. You guys have you seen these things
but that's what I heard.
There's a bunch of these that are coming out and popping up around all over the place. But have you seen the little box of?
Oh no, that's cool.
Oh yeah, I've seen those.
It's just a little box of Rush. It's all bootlegs. It's got several discs, but it's got 3 full shows on there. The little box of Metallica. The little box of Alice Cooper. I'm pretty sure I got a couple more laying around here, but I know I do. I just don't know what I did with them. Oh, here we go. The little box of Ted Nugent.
So I'll tell the story. I'm going to tell the story, but I got to grab the tape.
And now there's lots of them boxes coming out. Have you ever seen this one?
I didn't even grab any of my. I was going to say to Fraser's question, I've got a ton of Kiss bootleg stuff, and yeah, his question is: do you think that Gene Simmons gets pissed off at people when they boot his albums? Yes, I would.
Do.
Yes.
Yes, he does. Yes, he hates it.
He probably loses sleep and goes on the hunt.
Yep.
Okay.
Anyway.
But yeah, this is another one of those sets. This one's got 10 discs, I think, in it of all different Kiss shows from different years. I got a bunch of those. I think they're kind of cool.
So someone had mentioned about the Kiss soundboard recordings, and they came out in a series. I guess they're official releases. But Scott, have you heard any of those? I know, Rob, you said you hadn't heard any. What?
I've got some of those. The ones that they're actually recorded at the shows and they sell them at the shows. Yep.
And the reason I have this one is because I was at the show. If I'm at the show and you want to get $20 out of my pocket, sell me a copy of the show. I don't care how bad it sounds. That's my favorite souvenir.
I got one of those too from Dos Equis Pavilion there, or the Starplex, or whatever the heck they were calling it at the time, and it sounds great. I mean, it sounds great.
I've got one of the Kiss ones. It sounds fantastic too. So I got a couple of them actually from shows I actually went to.
Let me give the quick story. Sorry. When I was in the Air Force about 1 billion years ago, this is the tape that these came from. whatever name it is. I did not bootleg it. I didn't press it. I did not sell it ever to anybody. But this is the tape, and it does flip over during one song. I could go piece it together and listen to it because I don't remember what song got deleted. But I made this cassette in my dorm room when I was in the Air Force stationed in Fort Worth. I recorded it off of Z-Rock. The reason there's a song missing is because Pantera started late. Z-Rock went on the air for the live broadcast thing. Uh-oh. And so the tape flipped over part of the way through their set. One of these days, I'll go back and look and see what tape it was. So what I did in early desktop publishing and mastering days, when I was just learning, I made this. And the label has since rotted off of it, just about. But I was just learning how to burn CDs, and I was just learning how to master and kind of figure all that stuff out. And so I decided that I would transfer that tape and use that as my test bed. Well, through people that I knew back in the day, I traded this out to some buddies, you know, and acquaintances and people that I knew. Completely forgot about it, completely put it out of my mind. This is the only copy in the world that I'm aware of because I made it. And it's been on my shelf in my Pantera collection for years. However many years later, 30 maybe, I'm in a store and I see this. And I thought, there's no way it's the same show. So I get to read in the back, and it says Dallas, Texas, FM 1988. And I'm like, there's no way. Well, you read the set list, and that's it. So somehow, some way, from a billion years ago, from those half a dozen people, they probably traded it just like I did. And so those showed up. I'll probably get sued now. Thanks.
But I don't think he'll get sued. I think those guys are pretty cool. We're not talking about Michael Sweet here, by the way. We're talking about
the tape. Yeah, and speaking of bootlegs.
Ouch.
Yeah,
Nice.
Scott,
now you're going to get sued.
Yeah.
Nice.
For
No, I don't have that
Michael one. Oh, I showed his name, image, and likeness without his permission. So I'll probably get sued. But anyway.
In a pink cassette box? You've got to be kidding me.
So I'm in Saudi Arabia in 96, maybe, in the Air Force. And the record shops, or not record shops, the music stores all had these, and they had them by the thousands. And I had Rat and Kiss and Motley Crue and Bon Jovi. To the best of my recollection, they were $2 each. I had a huge collection of them. Sold them on eBay like a fool because I didn't think that I would ever care about cassettes. Somehow, this one survived. I have no idea how this one survived.
Divine intervention?
Maybe. Different box, different. Stored it somewhere else. Who knows? But anyway. So that's the only one I have. And it's so old. And the plastic in the clamshell is so brittle that it just falls apart. So I put this in a bag literally while we were on the show because when I picked it up, the clear plastic started coming off. So sue me, Michael Sweet. I don't care. And I wasn't giving you the finger. I'm just holding the. TJ, what's up? I listened to a little Forebode last week.
I listened to a little Forebode last week too.
John did not bootleg it. Ooh, nice.
Oh, wow.
Is that Striper logo embossed on that cassette? Yes, it is. In fact, a lot of the artwork on these was embossed. They had all kinds of cool stuff. It almost looked like a trading card was the cover because they would do all kinds of stuff with foil. But yeah, that's embossed and in silver foil. Power man, I feel like I killed the show. Sorry, guys.
No, you didn't.
It was awesome to hear a high quality version of that era of the band. Yeah, and that's the only thing I've ever heard from that. And again, I never intended to get this out there. I never intended to, you know, trade it or sell it or get it mass produced or anything like that. But I've collected every one I've ever seen because I think it's cool and I freaking love that era of the band.
I've got a couple. You want to come grab these too?
Yeah. So I think it was going to be my turn before I hijack the show. I'll go very quickly because we're getting up on it, and I know you guys have got some stuff. So Dokken is one of my favorite bands of all time. If you can find Dokken live at Summerfest in Milwaukee in '95, the cover's folded over because it wouldn't fit. It's got a show from '95 and also a soundboard from '85. And it's called Back to the USA. That's an awesome Dokken bootleg. Dokken decimating Dallas. I was at that show. And also on the Metal Rob channel, you can see a full concert video of this same night. I did not take the video, but I was at the show. Maybe John Levin's first show with the band. I'm not sure. Run through a couple more real fast. Judas Priest live in '84. I recorded this off of an ABC radio broadcast. It has since been released in the Defenders of the Faith box set, but I kept my copy that I got through disc and live show trading back in the day. But the original is over there. If it ever does get released officially, I always make sure and buy a copy because I think that's the thing to do. One of my very favorite bootlegs, two of them, if we're talking about favorites. Kick Axe Captured Live. If I can ever find the actual radio broadcast of this, because I think this was from the Country Club in Reseda, I think, in California. I could be wrong, but that's what I think. If I can ever find the vinyl of this, because that's probably what went around to the radio stations, I will own this. This is one of my favorite bootlegs ever. Kick Axe Captured Live. It was part of that Captured Live concert series that some radio network did. But
TJ, I need that.
Of all time,
King's X.
King's X.
This is King's X Dogman Live. It's a 2-disc set from Dallas, May 8th of '94. I got this straight off of the Xerox DAT master tape. I did not give anybody a copy. It's out there. There's a million copies of it. And who knows how many people they copied it for. But I was able to get this straight off of the DAT tape and make a transfer of it. A million people have got this out there. It may or may not be the same exact version, but if you want the definitive King's X live bootleg, and there are a ton of them, man, this Dogman Tour bootleg, it is a 10 out of 10 in quality, and the band is on fire. And man, you can go down a complete King's X rabbit hole of bootlegs. There are so many.
I've got literally 100 of them.
There's so much. So many out there. Dokken, Queensryche Great White. Yes, absolutely.
Put the next comment up because I want that.
I don't know if y'all saw we announced the Pit of Suffering on vinyl. Yes.
Yes.
It will prevail. Save me a copy. Put my name on it.
It better prevail right here in the home state of Texas.
That's right.
Yes, we need three. We need 3 copies for sure.
Pantera, Metallica. Yep.
There's tons of Metallica stuff out there too.
Saw Bon Jovi at Summerfest '85 in the Navy. Little Runaway. I dubbed them Van Halen East. John had scarves on his mic stand. That's awesome. Oh, there you go. That's why. Okay. That explains why everybody and their brother has that, because King's X released it on the Malkin label. And they, another interesting story about King's X did a very good job in the late 90s through the 2000s of killing their bootleg sales. They had a guy, if I remember right, his name was Dave Koblenz, and he ran kingsx.net. So the band would get everything. They would send it to Dave. And Dave would put it up on the kingsx.net site for free trade. You would swap, show for show, or you could send him DVD or CDRs or whatever they had. And he could make copies with the band's permission, is my understanding. I remastered so many shows back in my early mastering days and cleaned them up for the old kingsx.net site. I've tried to find Dave over the years and we lost touch, but he would send me stuff. I would master it up. He would put it up on the kingsx.net site. But if I ever run into Doug or Ty or Jerry ever again, I'm going to ask them whatever happened to that site and if they know whatever happened to Dave, because my understanding is that it was all endorsed by the band. So,
well, I think Dream Theater does stuff like that too. They record every single show, and then their fans get first pick of the litter, I guess. And but there's a lot of fans only stuff or not only fans or fans only, but like fan club only releases, especially with bands like King's X and Dream Theater. And I mean, I've come across several, but I've probably got 24 Dream Theater, basically bootlegs, but they're like you said, they're sort of endorsed by the band. But
right,
as I don't know, we were running out of time, but I've just got a small stack of who I think is probably the most bootlegged artist on the planet.
Do it.
Jimi Hendrix.
Yes.
It's one of those old 70s things that with the little slip, it just got a piece of paper in there with a
Yep.
And this actually sounds pretty good. This might sound better than any Hendrix bootleg I have. And anytime I see this little pig sticker, it's a German company and they do excellent work. They remaster all their releases. They press on virgin vinyl. It's not 180 gram, but it's close. Look, they're even including stickers and a CD download of these, but I probably have over 600 Hendrix records. I mean, The Wizard, hello. Hendrix never released it, but this has got Dolly Dagger, Freedom, Stone Free, Hey Joe. I mean, all the classics, but it's just all it is live shows.
Yeah.
But I've got probably at least 600 Hendrix. I've actually had to keep the ones that I really think are unique and then put several other crates away in another room because I just don't have the space to display all the Hendrix stuff. But
one band that I was really shocked I could find as much as I could and find early stuff was Van Halen.
Oh yeah.
There's so much out there. This is from 77 at the Civic Auditorium in Pasadena. And it is great. I know you can't read that, but
that's right before that was their last small room show before they hit the road.
Yep. And he talks about that on here, but it's got On Fire, Feel Your Love Tonight, Running with the Devil, Atomic Punk, Little Dreamer. I mean, it's everything that you want to hear from early Van Halen. And you can find the Gene Simmons produced demos. You can find even stuff earlier than this from 76.
Yeah, the Gene Simmons demos are my favorite because they are really spectacular.
So cool. You can hear the original version of She's the Woman that came out on Different Kind of Truth. That was awesome. But yeah, Van Halen, man, there's a lot of stuff out there you can find.
And looking here, we've got someone from all the way in Australia talking to us about our local heroes, Warbeast. The band included Scott Shelby, Bruce Corbett, of course, from Rigor Mortis, the enigmatic Rick Perry. And yes, I have copies. If you want them, Tony, I got them. Message me on Facebook, and I'll hook you up with some copies. But yeah, I had sent those to Mark down in Melbourne years and years ago. Well, 2009, 2010. In fact. I was the one that announced them as Warbeast from that Skillman show the first night when they changed their name basically officially from Texas Metal Alliance to Warbeast. That was that first show.
Is that the show that came out on the BCAD?
Correct.
Okay.
That is correct. So that's the very first show on audio, and then the very last show that they did was on the DVD.
Ah, very nice.
So it's the beginning and the end. BCAD. You get the message. And
Yep.
BC Bruce Corbett AD after.
Yep.
See how that works.
Yeah, that was a great package that you guys put together on that deal. That was a really cool bookend, literally, of the beginning and the end.
Well, and even if you look at the packaging, that was the whole purpose of it. You try to make it as appealing as you could to your crowd. I mean, like I saw this. This is Marduk. I love Marduk's. This is one of my guilty pleasures. But this looks like something that they would put out. So I grabbed it, but yet it's an unofficial bootleg. But certainly something like this just looks pretty sterile, and you'd have to really be a fan to actually just reach out and grab it. Yeah, and if you notice, the left half of the page is the original logo and the original Gamortis character, and then the right side was the very last one that I ever did. And then, of course, Bruce's affinity for Batman. I put the bat wings on it, and that was the thing that held it all together. And man,
this is a hard little deal to find.
It is now. It wasn't for a while, but guess what? Eventually, they all sell out, don't they?
Yeah. Well, and Scott wanted them for merch at. Was it at Bruce's Memorial, maybe?
I think so.
Anyway, and so we had a shop going for a while, and I was doing their fulfillment for them to help them out with that, and sold a ton of stuff. But it's he's got it. There's a trunk full, but it's not.
When they're done, they're done.
It's not. There's not much left.
Yep.
So
anyway,
I need to reach out to him and see if he wants me to put that stuff back up. $2 shop. Yes, I would buy them all day long if they were on CD. But Frazier, what about my question? Hang on. What bootleg CD or vinyl are y'all looking for that's not in your collection yet?
Osric Tentacles.
I'm always looking for bootlegs, so I don't know if there's any specific ones, but I'm always looking for them.
Yeah, I can't think of anything.
You guys ever get this one?
I have that one. That's great.
It's fantastic. It's one of my all-time favorites. I actually think I like it better than the Tokyo tapes. I play it more often than Tokyo tapes because it doesn't have that stupid rock and roll medley on it, but it does have a 10-minute version of Hellcat on it and the Japanese national anthem, which I thought was really cool.
Yep.
And this label, the Vernie label, everything I've never heard a bad release from them. I know they're a bootleg label, but every release I picked up from them has been spectacular.
Yeah, they put out some Van Halen stuff too. You might keep your eye peeled for that also.
Well, I have a.
Did you see Tony's comment?
Yeah,
that's crazy.
I know that he and I have crossed paths despite the fact that he lived out of town.
Like here's another Vernie one. This one's fantastic from '79. Judas Priest.
Yep.
Oh, I've got that on CD.
Yeah, 81, right? I said 79. There's another one. This is from Vernie, and this is all early demo stuff. So, Mother Son, a collection of rare live and studio recordings from '73 through '78.
Yeah.
So anyhow, their stuff is fantastic. So they have a lot of great Maiden ones from the early '80s.
Yeah.
So much good Maiden stuff. I've got a bunch of bootlegs on CD.
Full show from 1980. Great sound. Full show from '82, double album.
Awesome.
With Bruce on vocals for the first time.
Hammersmith.
Yep, some good stuff. So those are just a few. I mean, I've got tons of those. Every time I see them, I grab them. So, but
hey, I do have a Forebode live at the Lost Well. I think one of one.
I'm gonna rock through a few more real quick. These are some of the. This is one of my favorite bands. It has nothing to do with metal, but another one of those '70s ones. Genesis '77.
Yeah, I'm starting to see a lot more of them all of a sudden. I don't know why, but it's usually with the Peter Gabriel era. Tons and tons and tons of shows.
Yes, this one here is from the Duke tour, although it doesn't look like it.
Yeah.
It's another one of those ones from the early '80s, and it has just the paper inside of it. And thankfully, the person I bought it from wrote the track listing down on the back because it wasn't on the front. I don't know if you can see that or not, but And I'm a huge Genesis fan, especially love Duke. This is one of my all-time favorites. This is another one of those. You can see the back is just a. Man, I'm getting some glare, but anyhow, another one of those ones. But at least it's a printed paper with some color on it. But it's still another great sounding Duke bootleg. And here's one from Lamb Lies Down on Broadway tour with obviously Peter Gabriel. So yep, those are a few Genesis ones. But wait, I got more.
Shocking.
How about this one?
Oh
I've got
man,
a little bit of UFO.
yeah.
Yep.
Love you.
I got quite a few UFO, but I really like this one. Again, it's on the Verney label, so it's got that great sound, but it's just got some great stuff on there.
That's
Stuff you don't hear very often.
Is that the New York? Is that the New York show?
It's Atlanta 74. 74?
Okay.
Yeah, Atlanta 74. But yeah, I mean, it's early, so they got stuff on here like Built for Comfort, which, they stopped playing a long time ago. So, but anyhow. But let me see here. What else? I got Kiss, but somebody said they didn't want to see Kiss, so I won't show them to you. This is probably one of the most bootleg Kiss shows ever.
Frazier loves Kiss. Show Kiss.
This is the best version that I've seen. It's the Ritz on Fire when they played the small theater.
Oh yeah.
This is the best one, and it's been released on several different colors of vinyl, and the covers all look the same, but they always have like different colors. But the sound quality on this thing is spectacular, and it's got this great set list before they put the makeup back on. So mixture of old and new, but it's got Deuce, Love Gun, Fits Like a Glove, a song they never play live. Heaven's on Fire, Cold Gin, Black Diamond, No No No, Firehouse, Crazy Nights, Calling Dr. Love, War Machine, great song. Tears Are Falling, I Love It Loud, Strutter, Shout It Out Loud, Lick It Up, Rock and Roll All Night, and Detroit Rock City. But yeah, it's been released. Here's another copy, and there's a lot of single copies out there that have like partial set listings, and this happens to be one of those. Which, if I would have known that when I bought this, I probably wouldn't have bought it. But it's Kiss, so maybe I would. I don't know. But I remember several shows ago, somebody asked me what my favorite Aerosmith bootlegs were, and I have like I'm gonna probably say 40 or 50 vinyl bootlegs of Aerosmith, but all the early stuff is my favorite, so I should grab those. But this is a recent release of 1973 Live at Paul's Mall, which I've had on CD for years and years and years, but had it on cassette back in the 80s too. But I'm glad someone put it on vinyl, and it's a good sounding bootleg too. So that one sounds as good as ever. There we go. One of the best ever. Rattlesnake Shake. Counterpart Studios 74. It's all early stuff, but they actually do Rattlesnake Shake. And they also, if you look at the title, you can see they released Pandora's Box. The song is called Pandora's Box, but it was subtitled Night in the Ruts back then. And of course, they later re-released it. But that one's been reissued too. Here's the reissue, which doesn't. The whole, that's one of the funny things about bootlegs is half the time the images are from the wrong era. This is not even close. Not even close. But it's all right. It's still Aerosmith. But this is my all-time favorite Aerosmith bootleg, and I've got Look Homeward Angel. This was recorded in 75 before Toys in the Attic really took off, and they were playing in Central Park in New York. And there's a bunch of these out there, but this is an original one from the 70s, as is this one. Different pressing, different record company. Look Homeward Angel. I always like the photo on that one too, and on the back. And of course, I have to have a bootleg. Of course, I have to have a backup copy of that one too. So I got two. I actually have two of those. And then here's another version of it. Another one from the 70s. There's so many of them out there. How about this one? This one's been released a couple different times too. Rock This Way. John, you probably remember this label. Remember that I used to have all these backgrounds. The amazing Corny Phone record label.
Oh, okay. Cuneiform. Is it Cuneiform?
There you
go.
Yeah. Corny Phone. Korny phone. Corny Phone. But yeah, this Rock This Way. There's actually versions of this out there where it's not printed as well. It's just got the little sheet shoved in the front of it. A couple more real quick. We're getting a little later, and this is the 70s, 1977. This is 5 the Hard Way. And then finally, this is 78 from Columbus, Ohio, I believe. Yep, Columbus, Ohio. They all have good sound. This one's probably got the worst of all the ones I just showed, but it's not terrible. It's just a little compressed sounding, radio compression. But they did so many radio shows back in the day. That's why there's so many great Aerosmith bootlegs from the 70s out there. And when they were at their best, when they were at their worst, you know what I mean? Live, they were just so fantastic when they were all drugged up, and I don't know why that is. They should have sucked, but it was just there was just
I've
something
seen them
about
when
it.
they've sucked. Believe me, they can stink the room up pretty good. I've seen them play some bad shows, but to your point, they seemed more lucid when they weren't.
How many Kiss bootlegs do you think you have, Scott?
Henny, what?
How many Kiss bootlegs do you think you have?
Not as many as I used to, but vinyl, I probably have like 15 or 20. CDs, I probably have another 50.
Yeah, I've got.
I used to be a prolific Kiss collector. Matter of fact, I had every single show. I mean, some really bad recordings, some really good recordings from the Animalized tour. All of them had every show from the whole tour.
Wow,
it was ridiculous. But yeah, I got rid of all those years and years ago. So there's another one of those Bernie ones too. This has got great sound too. Live in Tokyo, 77, April 77.
If you have any Kiss Bruce Kulick era bootleg stuff, I'd be interested in that.
I'm pretty sure I do. I'll have to look and see. One more, and then I'll stop showing off Aerosmith and Kiss because I know it's going to piss off Fraser. This is a CD bootleg, but this is, I think, I can't remember if I have to look, but I think it's 18 CDs. And it's just all live Aerosmith recordings from 1970s all the way up to the 1990s. And then there's this one too that just came out recently, which has 10 discs. This one's still available. I get average on it all the time on Facebook. But it too has 10 CDs of all live. And some of the shows are repeated on these two different box sets. But one of my all-time favorite shows from Aerosmith is the Boston show they did in 1980. Jimmy Crespo was on guitar, and it's just a spectacular show. They do a lot of, more deep cuts and stuff like that. So anyhow, that's a few. I brought more, but actually I got one in the mail today. Haven't even got a chance to play it yet. Thin Lizzy, Phil Lynott and Grand Slam and Thin Lizzy. So it's a mixture of Grand Slam and Thin Lizzy live recordings, and it's doesn't tell you. I kind of hate when they don't tell you where it's recorded at. It just has the years they're recorded and the track listings. And there's no booklet in it or anything, but who cares? I'm looking forward to checking it out. I haven't actually played the whole thing.
TJ, I just sent you a link in the comments that you're going to want to check out if you're a Bruce Kulick fan.
No, Bruce Kulick played on most of the Animalized tour, even though he didn't play on the album.
Yep. So Mark, you're talking about Death Live After Dark Club Texas. Yep. There's a video on my Metal Rob channel. I just put it up last week of Death, I think in Dallas. So check that out. There's 2 concerts on one video, if that makes any sense. But
hey, Carcass, did you pick this up
over there?
Did you pick this up?
Broncos Helm?
Yeah. It's not. I don't think it's a bootleg. I don't know if it is or not, to tell you the truth. But it's got all their early demos and stuff on it.
The
2 disc set.
The King's X Gary
83 through 94 boot demos.
The King's X, the one that I have that I made for myself, I just called it King's X 5894. But I think I've also seen it as Dogman Live, maybe. But the one you're looking for is 5894 in Dallas. It was a Z-Rock broadcast. You should be able to find that pretty easily.
Now it's quiet. Dead air.
Dead air.
Did the show just die?
Well, no, I was looking at the After Dark is in Houston, and I saw Death played there, and then they played. I think their last show was at Joe's Garage, with Devastation opening up, and that was
I'll go get the
1990.
I'll post up the link real quick.
He asked if we had any Deep Purple. We could tell him to tune in next week because we're gonna have a deep dive into Deep Purple.
Yes, we are, with Chris Manning joining us, as well as
Andrew Atwood.
hopefully we may have Andrew Atwood from Hellstar. Clash of the Guitar Titans, talking about Deep Purple. Hang on, I'm trying to get this before we sign out. I'm trying to get this, or sign off. I'm trying to get this Death Show link.
They are starting the estate of Chuck Schuldiner is starting to release lots and lots of live stuff on DVD and CD.
Oh, some of it's so bad though.
Some of it's really, really bad, but some of it is actually quite good.
I picked up one of the vinyl ones direct from the label. Woo.
Yeah,
it's on. I tried. I got through one side and I'm like, nope, done. Put it back on a week later and got through two sides. Nope, done. This is horrible.
Have you heard the Control Denied stuff? They actually have some demo tracks and something off the second album that never got released.
Well, that's cool. Nope, haven't heard that.
Cut and paste that link. Take the death out, obviously, because for some reason it won't let me post just the link. I don't know why.
Mark Fields
cramming it all together.
The Ultimate Sound Man says those live death bootlegs are worthless. Or waste of resources. Same thing. Awful.
I just thought the video was.
I had one behind me, but I can't find it right now. I might have put it away already. But yeah, I mean the packaging is nice. You know, they got these nice looking covers, but man, the sound is just brutal. They're not. I mean, if you're a huge Death fan, it's just like, I mean, I showed that Hyrax and Helix and some of those other ones that I have that are bad sounding, but Overkill. But I still have them because, you know, I'm a collector of anything by them. So
right.
It's got at this point in my collection career, it's got to sound decent, or I just don't want to have it.
It just depends on the band. I mean, I'll pretty much buy anything from, you know, Ted Nugent or Aerosmith or Jimi Hendrix, some of them, you know, my favorites like that. So, Thin Lizzy, Judas Priest. I don't really have any bad sounding Judas Priest ones. I think I just picked this one not too long ago, the US Festival show.
Oh, I love that! I recorded that off the radio back in the day. I'll tell a story about that someday. Sneaking out of church to record that on my boombox.
You heathen!
I know. I'm probably going to hell.
Probably.
Yeah, I don't think there's any question.
We'll come visit you. We'll be just down the hall.
Well, let's wrap this up. We've gone a little bit over. Thank you for sticking with us, those of you that did. I want to remind you guys that you can, if you don't want to see our ugly mugs, you can just pull us up. Every show is recorded live, unscripted, unrehearsed, and unprepared. And so you can watch them all later. Pull us up on YouTube, start from the beginning, pull the YouTube app up on your phone and just listen to it if you want. One of these days we'll figure out how to rip all the audio and do a podcast, but it's so visual showing stuff that I'm afraid it would get lost in translation. But anyway, let's do the social stuff again. Please subscribe to us on YouTube. Please check out our page at anchormerchandising.com. You can go buy skateboard decks and cups and koozies and shirts and all manner of stuff over at anchormerchandising.com. Just search the Metal Roundtable. Very easy to find. You can follow me on Instagram at IamMetalRob. I'm very easy to find on Facebook. Scooter Waters is on the YouTube at Scott Waters. Check out No Life Till Metal, his label, putting out some kick-ass releases. If you need a cover or a logo for your band, hit up Carcass at Carcass John Art on Instagram, and he actually checks his Instagram messages, unlike me. Vindicator, Vic Stone. Check out those boys. They've got some new stuff out. Thank you, Damien Hair Metal. Another great show. Appreciate that. We are all surrounded by the devil's favorite genre. Truth. But
I don't have any country records.
Yes, Bruiser. I have heard some of Dee Verney's rockabilly stuff.
The US Festival stuff is available on DVD. You can find a good bunch of it. I know for sure Triumph, and I know for sure you can find I think Van Halen and Judas Priest as well. Mm-hmm. You can find it. Anyway, signing off for episode 151. I am Metal Rob, and until next time,
Metal
will
will
prevail.
Rebel.